And welcome to another great episode of Tampa Fishing Outfitters Radio on Sports Talk 1040. The team, myself, Captain Jason Prieto is in the studios. Captain Travis is getting our social media Facebook page running. So I am at the helm by myself, baiting up, throwing the cast net, whole 9 yards. Guys, we're going to talk a little bit of fishing this week, and we've got some pretty good reports for you. Tarpon fishing, not so much. We caught a few fish and looked at a lot and actually didn't see a whole lot this week. It's been kind of a weird tarpon year, man. Inconsistent weather always equals inconsistent tarpon fishing. The good news is everything around the bay besides tarpon seems to be really good. Lots of big snook we've caught. We've caught a lot of good redfish. And today, actually, we just literally came from the boat to do the show this evening. And, well, if you're listening on the air, it's actually Sunday, so we're pre-recorded. But actually got a nice little surprise, man. We got some nice keeper gags that you typically – big gags in the bay. We had 9 of them. Obviously, we didn't keep all 9, but we had a good bite on the gag grouper. We're starting to see the snappers show up. And there's Travis.
Starting to see some Trav show up.
Big T. We got something wrong with these headphones, brother. All I hear is commercials.
Huh?
But it's been a good bite, man. Minus tarpon. Tarpon today we went 1 for 2, which is a great day this year. And it's been a battle. The tarpon, tarpon fishing is something that for me, I really, when it's bad, I really beat my head against the wall. It's very frustrating.
It's tough, man. Like, especially when you're out there. There's two sides to being tough. It's tough when there's a lot of fish around. Ooh, man down. It's tough when there's a lot of fish around and you're not getting bit, and then it's even worse when there's no fish around and you're not getting bit. But the common denominator of is not getting bit. And I mean, tarpon fishing, you can expect
that was not supposed to happen.
That was not supposed to happen, but we
our suction cup deal.
We roll right through it.
They get tired hearing about our complaining about tarpon.
I think our GoPro just
game over.
But anyway, it is, man. I mean, tarpon fishing is not like snook fishing. It's not like red fishing. It's not like trout fishing. It's multi-dimensional with finding fish, having the right baits.
It's the experience.
Using the right baits.
That's what I tell people when it's tough.
Trying to get bit. I mean, and so it can be a very, very stressful thing to go tarpon fishing. Now, there's days though when you roll out there and it's 5-10 minutes, you're hooked up, and you get back on the anchor ball, or you get back in the spot where you were on fish on the trolling motor, and bang, 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 you're hooked back up again. But here this year, I will say that I think most people, there's been fish around, quite a few fish. I mean, we saw quite a few fish a few days ago on the hilltide, and not a whole lot of boats really getting hooked up, but there was quite a few fish, and so it makes it tough when you're out there and they're just tail slapping and chewing, and especially on the crab flush, they get pretty excited. But
well, I mean, and that was a little bit of new territory for you. You kind of do your bay deal, which is actually nicer when you catch fish. There's more fish on the beach. There's more. I will say this, out on the Gulf along the beaches, there's more of the experience. In the bay, you don't see as many fish, but they're there. And there isn't as many fish, but there's a better experience out in the Gulf, whether you catch them or not. There's just, you got the beaches, you get the Florida scenery that out of towners expect. But in the bay, there's really good fishing for tarpon, and we're really about to gear up on that this year. I'm going to put more effort into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, I prefer to bay fish for tarpon for multiple reasons. I mean, I'm just not a crowd guy. I don't like fishing in those crowds, man. I don't know if I just get claustrophobic or what, but having 3, 4, 5, even 20 boats like we had the last time we were down there, it just wears on me, man. Like, I feel like I would rather be on a small pot of fish by myself, trying to figure the fish out. It seems like the fish settle down a little bit more, and I feel more confident fishing like that. If I see 1 or 2 tarpon roll in an area that I know that I've, done a lot of tarpon fishing in, I feel more confident myself than rolling out to say Bean Point or Egmont or on the inside, of the island up to the bridge, seeing 50 fish roll. It's just that's where my confidence is. Now, like you say though, a lot of times when those fish, to me, those fish are more light switch fish where you're going to see them. You're going to see them
Oh
out there
yeah,
rolling, but then there's going to be that certain part of the tide,
you're absolutely right.
that certain, thing that happens, and these fish get triggered, and it doesn't matter what you throw out there. You get a crab close to some rolling fish, and it's game on. So it's really, as a guide, it really puts a lot of stress on us as a guide to say, well, where do you need to be and what time you need to be there to get the bite? Because when the tarpon are around and they're in several different places, it can be a juggling act sometimes to go, well, I need to be here at this time, or should I be down there cut baiting? Should I be
you run
drifting,
a lot. You burn a lot of
crabs
fuel
down here? And so it can be
people want to know.
It can be tough, man.
People want to know why we typically charge more for tarpon. It's involved. You have to, as a guide, you need to you want to be and need to be prepared for your clients. And sometimes being prepared means going and spending $4 a piece for crabs, or spending 3 hours of your time and fuel just to get crabs for the tarpon bite. Sometimes getting cut bait the day before and icing it down, buying a bunch of ice, putting salt on the ice, the whole 9 yards. So there's a lot of involvement where typically you're inshore fishing, you roll out, you catch bait, you're good. Like you're going fishing. That's so that's the difference. And plus you burn a lot of fuel. Good example. I ran from all the way out off of Anna Maria today, all the way in the bay, 7-8 miles, and all the way back to St. Pete, and drove from St. Pete to Ruskin. So
well, and you're like I am, and are conscientious of
big
our
word.
business. Yeah, big word. I'm trying to get it out.
Easy there, big dog.
Conscientious of our cost. And it not only comes in direct cost, as in fuel, bait, tackle, but the wear and tear on our boat.
Oh, hours on the motor.
Hours on your motor.
I put 100 hours on my motor since mid-May.
People don't look at that. If you're the average boater and you're out there on the weekend, an extra couple hours isn't nothing. But when you're doing 2 trips a day for a week, that's a substantial amount of hours on your motor that puts you into an oil change quicker. Not to mention just depreciation on your equipment. So it really does
long story short,
cost more to go tarpon fishing.
Right. There's a lot that goes in with tarpon, but and I tell my sell for tarpon trips is, I tell people, they say I want to catch a tarpon. I say, okay, do you really want to catch a tarpon? Because I want you to catch a tarpon. But there's a chance that we might not catch a tarpon.
Yeah.
And you're going out there for the experience. You're getting the Florida beaches, seeing tons of fish, you're going to see have a lot of opportunity to cast at fish, putting the boat in the right situation. You're selling the experience, and getting a tarpon is a bonus. There is plenty of people that have tarpon fished. Guy took today. He's been wanting to get a tarpon his whole life. We went 1 for 2 today, and I had to frickin' work probably as hard as I ever did. And we kind of honestly, Travis, I started just throwing stuff at the wall. I fished some areas that I really hadn't fished lately.
Yeah.
Because I pulled the Travis. I'm sitting out there and I'm going, talk to some captains, and well, the fish showed up about 10 to 2. They were there. I'm like, okay, did you get to eat? They're like, no. I'm like, so my first thought to myself was, why am I going to sit here and wait for fish that haven't really been biting? Every day haven't been biting that good. So I said, screw it. Let's just go do something different. And it actually paid off. We got 9 grouper, 28, 29 inch today. We got snapper, and we ended up getting 2 tarpon. So now there's a lot of times I've made that call and
go bust.
My tail was tucked in.
Well, that's the nice thing about being inside the bay, though. And you and I talk about it all the time. And I know where you were fishing today. And that's part of what I'm talking about. That's what I like about being more confident. You've got so many different options now. Part of that is because you and I don't spend as much time as most of the other guys out in St. Pete. So, having that confidence to come back and fish something that, you fish on a regular basis, or not so many people are doing it, so on and so forth, boat pressure, traffic. But also those grouper inside the bay right now that are starting to show up are
best I've done in a while.
Nothing to, shake a stick at, because they are good, solid grouper. I mean, what'd you say you caught today? You had a couple up in the 28-inch range?
29,
28, 29?
27s,
I mean, those are
26s. I was
those are
kind of
solid
surprised,
grouper,
to be
man.
honest with you, because I've caught plenty of group. I've caught my biggest in the bay. I caught a 34-incher,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been since 2012. I had some numbers in the bay, and they really haven't been good since. Like, we were wrecking them. We had 27-inch snapper,
Yeah.
and they really hadn't been that productive. And this wasn't the same area that I did that well, but today it was kind of like, okay, well, maybe we're gonna have a good grouper year. That was kind of like a switch clicked in my
Were
head.
you guys fishing cut bait or
Yes, we were
live
using
bait?
cut, and I was using a knocker rig on the bottom.
Yeah.
That's how we got them.
Yeah.
So I actually thought we had a shark the first time just because of the way I was fishing.
Sure.
And we're just letting them sit, letting them bake on the bottom. I was just cutting, and we seen a few tarpon, and didn't hook any tarpon in this particular spot. But Jesus,
Jason Prieto. This is the third time, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching Facebook, we have crashed 3 times, but we are up. We are up again.
Sorry. I'm gonna let you check down the commercial.
There you go.
But
you got to see a close up of Ugly.
Oh my God,
Look at
I am
Ugly
ugly.
days.
Easy, big dog. But so yeah, it's just, it was nice. We got a variety. Like it was a weird trip today because so we were out there 7 hours, and my first 2.5, Travis, it was like I go, this is a train wreck. This is starting to be a train wreck. I hadn't even see fish. I didn't put a line in the water for 2 hours.
Confidence, man. It's confidence,
And
baby.
I'm like, oh God. And I just said, just do a 180 because this ain't working. And I've done that plenty of times and it's worked. I've done it and it hadn't worked. I said, let's just go do something else. Like,
yeah.
And you get to a point where you're like, man, I just want to put some fish in the boat. And the guy, I will credit the guy. Oh, we got to go to break?
We got about 30 seconds probably.
Okay. I will credit the guy that I had on the boat. Very patient. No pressure. He didn't put any. I was putting the pressure on myself.
Yeah, that's always good though.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, man, we're having fun out here," and he knew how to fish. Cool dude, man. It was real cool, man. It was good. It was great. Dan was a great client to have out, and it made for a nice day. But anyhow, guys, we're gonna take a little break. We get back, we'll be talking more fishing. You listen to Tampa Fishing Outfitters Radio on Sports Talk 1040 The Team.
There's like a filter.
All right,
and we're back. We're not back. We got ahead of him. Sorry, guys.
Timeout.
It's always
Timeout, man.
If you got us on Facebook, we're ready to go. Ready to go? And we're back. You're listening to Tampa Fishing Outfitters Radio Show on Sports Talk 1040 The Team. Myself, Captain Travis Yaeckel in the studio.
Big dog.
Big dog. And my main man caught a tarpon today.
Finally, man.
Caught a tarpon today.
Finally.
I like it, man. Hats off to you, brother.
Hey, I was proud of myself. I got out of my window, went and did something different. It worked.
That's man, I'm telling you.
And my buddy Will, he kind of said, "Hey, man, there's some fish here," and so he helped me out a little bit. But hey, that's part of it, man. I told the guy today, I started phone fishing a little bit, and I said, this is the benefit of being a guide with friends is
especially
you can be two places at once.
It's tough.
Yeah, when it's tough, you don't want to run across the bait only to find out there's no fish. So if
That's
you're there,
it.
I can say, hey, Travis, are there any
That's
fish
it.
over there? You go, no. Okay, I'm not going there.
Well, guys, we're gonna bring Captain Rick's out of the studio today, but we've got him on the line, and he is gonna give us our weather for this week. Captain Rick, you with us, brother? Captain Rick. I heard him talk for a second.
He's got that Ruskin cell phone service.
Yeah, they're in between segments.
Big Rick,
No,
no,
we're
we're
there.
not. We're listening. We're waiting for you, brother.
Rick.
Can you hear us?
They did it different. Travis has got a seminar tomorrow night. So they did
Game
it on Tuesday.
over.
Game over.
And I
All
didn't
right, kill
so
it.
you
used to
get
be
to
they
do a
couldn't move
We
little.
on
gotta kill the
Tuesday
call.
at the studio, so I
Yeah, something's not right.
I don't know. Rick can't hear us, but we'll keep rolling. We'll get Rick back on the phone
So
here.
let's see today. The camera has fell twice.
It's been a train
and
wreck.
we can't. Yeah, this sounded like my chart. I hope this ends like my charter did because it kind of starting out like it did. But anyhow, that was good stuff. Back to talking fishing, Travis. I was looking forward to that report, but I guess we got to cover it now.
We're gonna have to cover it now. So
I tell you, this storm we had last week, and I don't know, did we talk about it last week on radio because it was happening?
a little bit, man. I mean, this week was the first week where, to me personally, I feel like the rain has finally affected the South Shore. I feel like we finally got enough rain that, areas like Cockroach Bay and up through there, we've really seen a significant amount of rain coming out of the rivers. And to me, we've finally gotten some really dirty, nasty water up into Cockroach Bay.
Is it dirty over there?
It's real dirty. With the snot grass has been bad for the last few weeks. But this rain has really, not only do we have the snot grass, now we've got some really dirty water, especially towards the mouth of the river and stuff like that. But
well, I mean,
what it's done though to me is you don't want to be fishing those areas on when the water's not moving. When that water's just sitting in there, that dirty water, it really affects the fishing. Now I fished a trip in that rainstorm on Saturday, and we fished south. And on our way back, I said, "Listen, guys," I said, "I want to go check an area back up in Cockroach Bay. We got some high water, water's flooding up in the bushes." I said, "Let's go check it, see if we can find a clean space, a clean place to go fish." And we did, and we ended up catching some redfish up under the bushes. But the snook bite really wasn't there like I had expected to. We were a little bit ahead of the tide. The tide had just started moving, going out, and so we didn't really get a stellar snook bite. We caught a handful of snook, but I wanted to go check on some redfish, and they were still laid up under the bushes. We were fishing big greenbacks. We had been out bottom fishing, and we went up to a couple different areas looking for some tarpon. Didn't see them, so we came back, and I had some big baits, and we ended up using those up under the bushes for some redfish.
Well, I'm going to need a bait report because I plan on coming home Sunday. I got some tarpon trips, but I'm just going to run.
The bait has been a little interesting. We ran the day we fished the tarpon tournament, which would have been last Friday. Today's Tuesday, by the way, but last Friday we fished the tarpon tournament, and Captain Jason Thompson and I both fished a double. We fished a morning trip.
J-Tom Pickle.
And we fished a morning trip, and we had to pick up at 7 at Anna Maria Island. Well, we both ran from the South Shore under that full moon, and the bait had literally just spread out from the day before. And we ended up finding some bait. We checked a couple towers on the way down to the bridge, saw quite a few thread fins, never even got the net out. And actually, it was real bad. Sorry. We ended up finding some bait at the bridge, got enough to go morning fishing. We went and ran down to Anna Maria Island, fished in the morning down there, fished down near the Palmasola area, caught some really nice trout down that way. We ended up getting, I think, a 24 and a 22 and
Dude,
a handful.
I'm going to have to give you the reins of Mr. Trout here.
Dude, I don't know.
I can't catch a nice trout. I can catch big snook and nice reds.
You know what I will tell you, though, honestly, is a lot of the bigger trout that I've been catching have been on bigger baits. I've been fishing those
live bait or dead?
Live bait. I've been fishing the bigger live baits, not quite tarpon size, not the mongos, but, a good 4.5 inch, 5 inch bait is actually what the bigger trout been eating. And they've been eating on the outgoing tide for the most part, at least on the inside, down on the South Shore. But these fish that we fished last Friday, we got them on the incoming water, incoming tide. And we were down in Palmasola. And if you've ever fished a Palmasola area, there's a lot of deep craters, a lot of deep pockets, a lot of deep potholes. And what we did was we got up on the edge of a sandbar, and the tide was rolling over the sandbar. It had a lot of grass on it, patchy grass. And we were actually throwing the baits up current of the sandbar and letting them swash over the sandbar, kind of reeling them real slow. And that's where the big trout were laying. We're on the top of that sandbar with some patchy grass on it, and that's where we got most of the big trout. So
that's crazy that it's just this year just backwards. I mean, you typically don't catch trout like that.
I know it.
I mean, occasionally like out of the blue, but you guys been pretty consistent with like big trout.
It's been one of those
March
things,
we can't.
I know it. Like we got a 27 a couple weeks ago, and that 24 last Friday, and I mean to me,
I mean, that's
you
just
look at it and you go,
backwards.
well, I know it's backwards, and that's what I was, because here a month ago we were talking about how poor the trout fishing had been.
Right.
Now the guys down south, Sarasota, if I can remember, a lot of the guys said they had a pretty good trout bite going. They were catching pretty good numbers on trout.
Man, the South Shore just.
But the South Shore had been a little weak up until. Actually, it's funny because we were talking about that, and it seemed like the weeks coming after that, it started getting better and better. Kind of as we started talking about it, we started getting some nice limited trout and starting to see some bigger ones show up. But areas like Joe's Island, Bishop's Harbor, south of Port Manatee, I'd say from Port Manatee south up to the bridge, is historically a good place to go catch 20-inch trout.
Well, they got that clean, nice turtle grass.
You get a lot of flow through
good
that
flow.
area.
You got a lot of good flow. The water's very clean down there.
Yeah.
Typically, well, not this time of year, but typically, I would say from, and you might argue with me, I'd say from Piney Point Creek south,
yeah,
the water's pretty clean.
Well,
real good
yeah.
flow. Piney Point Creek's dirty.
Rain will affect Piney Point
But I'm
Creek.
saying in general, good flow.
Yeah.
Clean water,
Yeah.
not mud. It ain't like the kitchen.
Right.
Cockroach Bay's got areas, but there's some areas of that muck.
Yeah.
You get that muck.
You got to get around the passes. Those will start to clean up first, like areas like Big Pass, the cut coming into Mag's Hole, places like that. They're going to get that high flow. Those are generally places like on the South Shore, if you're going to fish, that, might be a good place to stop and check, but some of the areas in the back, like some of the areas on the back wall, or even back up in Little Cockroach, some of those areas are starting to get real nasty looking. I mean,
well,
and it's to me, it's in part of the heat we've had.
Yeah,
it's in part with the fresh water that we're starting to get, and just the early release or whatever of the snot grass. And if anybody knows on Facebook, I'm going to throw something out there. If anybody knows what we're talking about this snot grass, like what is it? Because
I think Scott
just
Moore
grows.
knows. I listened that he had put something on social media about it, and I know it's not natural, but I don't know what it's called. I think it's caused from runoff. I could be wrong.
Some kind of bacteria or some kind of growth.
Some years it's
because
worse
it's
than
not
others.
there. Like in spring, guys, in March and April when we're fishing snook, it's
not
there.
It's not in St. Pete either.
It's a little,
for the most part.
You'll see it kind of on the tips of the grass.
Right.
But I mean, you're talking about balls. I mean, you're talking about
there's
big
like
balls.
a football field.
And if you've been in Cockroach Bay fishing in the last couple weeks, you'll notice on the higher tides that all of it'll push up into the coves, and there'll be these big grass mats pushed up into the coves. And then as the tide comes out, here it comes, and it just all swashes back out, which is part of the reason why last weekend when we were fishing south, I told the guys, I said, hey, the water's up high. We're coming up kind of at the top of the high tide, and it's going to turn and go out. I said, now would be a good time to go in there and fish, because all that snot grass has been pushed up into pockets, and we actually found some area that we could fish. I mean, 'cause it was so bad, man. You throw out, and by the time your bait wiggles once or twice, it's so full of grass that, you can't really fish.
Well, I've had a problem keeping my crabs alive, and we've had a lot of it in O'Neill's. Matter of fact, my boat's filthy underneath from just because I'm in the corner where the snot grass is just stacked.
It stacks up in there.
It
Well, that's
cleaned
like
out,
that little
but,
harbor.
And I wonder if that stuff is killing the crabs or something. It's got to suffocate the water, so to speak. I don't know. I wish somebody would comment on our Facebook page and kind of give us an idea of what it's about, because I really don't know what it's caused from. I know I can't stand. I threw my net on the South Shore last week because I drove my boat home. Had a trolling motor. Almost lost my trolling motor last week.
Surprised me.
No,
No,
let me tell you something. The starboard. I will tell you, I've been running Rodan trolling motor since 2008. Well, they just got released the 36 volt, and I've used the same boat, same bracket. Well, that 36 is a real deal, Travis, because it snapped that bracket that they use on the rounded deck, and
I saw that.
Yeah. So, anyways, I had to drive my boat home and kind of do some repairs on it. So I ran out. I had an inshore trip, so I ran on the South Shore. And man, I threw my cast net. It was black.
Dude, it's nasty.
It
man.
was.
That was
like
that morning
that
you and I had talked. And
yeah. It wasn't the big clumps, but it just made my net black. I'm like, this is so gross.
Well, I've been getting on the markers, and I can tell you that I am. There is not a better time for me to give a shout out and a plug for Lowrance, because, dude, that machine, my bottom machine, my structure scan has not only saved the day, but kept my clients with good bait on days where I know a lot of guys are struggling, even on the flats, to get bait with the grass. A lot of the markers don't have bait. People are throwing on giant thread fins and getting thread fins, and even the micros have showed up. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about bait on the next segment, Jason. But right now, we got to take a little break and pay some bills, brother. You listen to Tampa Fishing Outfitters radio show on Sports Talk 1040 The Team. Hang tight for just a minute, guys, and we'll be right back.
Rick.
And we are back. You're listening to Tampa Fishing Outfitters radio show on Sports Talk 1040 The Team.
Captain Rick.
Captain Rick, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Can y'all hear me?
We got him. Ladies and
Hey,
gentlemen, we got the weatherman.
Remember, what you guys need to keep in mind is the power of the fall.
The power of the fall.
The power of the fall will keep the gorilla snot away from your boat.
What are you talking about?
We'll have to enlighten the folks
Did
Rick.
Rick get into the fireball?
That is crucial. Hey, man, first of all, thanks for covering for me tonight. Had some plans that I couldn't get out of on a Tuesday. I appreciate you guys pulling the load. And second thing, I'll just give a real quick fishing report. What I've experienced in the last week is, man, the trout bite is getting better. Starting to see some bigger trout.
Are you scratching your head on that deal?
Kind of odd for June.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about.
I typically catch comes earlier, but anyway, catching some good trout, and the bait. I heard y'all talking about catching bait at the markers. I've been getting bait at the markers for about a week now, and it's pretty plentiful, pretty easy, but you're going to be dealing with bigger baits.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
go big or go home.
That's what I got.
That's it, baby.
I got two sayings, Rick.
What's
go
that?
big or go home if there's big bait, or if there's small bait, you just tell them elephants eat peanuts.
What do you say? Big bait? I heard something about big bait and small bait.
I said if you go big bait, you just tell the customers go big or go home. Or if you got small bait, you just tell them, man, I'd like to have some bigger bait. Then you just say elephants eat peanuts.
That's right. Elephants eat peanuts. But when I've been fishing, when I haven't been trout fishing, when I've been snook fishing and red fishing, and when we actually have done well this week with a few nice cobia, but I've been using cut bait. So
yeah,
and cut thread fins seem to be working best for me. But
Travis will come back.
Haven't tried any cut sardines, but
gold pinners.
Went with some cut pins.
You know what I'm gonna do next time?
Cut threadies have been best.
Rick, next time I'm next to Travis, I'm gonna load the chum bag slap full of live pinners and chuck them at him.
Oh, dude.
Listen, I want to see him run.
Hey, when you want to start war, you just wave the flag, brother. You just wave the flag.
I ain't gonna get into this because the next thing I know, you guys are gonna be talking about torque ratings and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, we don't want to go there, Rick.
But,
it could get nasty.
Anyway, I'm gonna leave it with y'all, but just remember the most crucial thing is the power of the fall.
The power of the fall. Rick, you got some weather for us or no, brother?
Yeah, it's summer. Go figure it out. Yeah.
Give it to us, man. Lay it on us.
It's raining.
I like it. That's
all I got. I'm driving down the road, so I can't really.
It's raining. That's all I got. Game over.
Well, I would expect to
100%.
probably see the same weather pattern, guys. You're going to see 30-40% chance of rain for every day, probably for the next couple weeks. I can't remember when it starts, but I think we're in hurricane season now. I don't remember the official day.
I actually live on the water now.
Listen,
please.
you gotta throw it out there. It's time to gear up, man, and get ready for it. We were just talking about it today at lunch. I ate lunch with J Tom and Captain Rick, and you guys both live on the water. I just live around the corner, but I asked him. I said, hey, man, have you thought about what would happen if a storm came? Have you kind of thought about where you're going to put all your crap and what you're
my house
do.
is pretty darn high,
and you're up there. You're a newer home.
If my house floods, son, we got problems.
So but if you need to ride over to my house, you can. I'm up about.
I think your house might be flooded before mine.
I'm about 3.5 feet up off the ground, man. Well, you're probably about 5.
No, it's taller than that. It's
Is
like
it?
7.
Oh,
it's
well,
like
maybe
6.
we'll be over at your house.
Yeah, yeah. I'm up there.
But well, guys, we got the phone line open here. We got about probably half this segment left, and then we got one more after that. So if you guys want to call in and ask some questions, now would be a good time. That phone number is 866-977-4820. Again, that's 866-977-4820.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. And if you want to call and ask us whatever, we'll do our best to give you an answer.
Or just talk fishing.
Or just talk some fishing.
And
give
Richard,
us a report.
we've got a lot of answers, buddy. What's up with the weather is a good question, because if there's anybody or anyone who is sick of dealing with weather, it's these guys. These guys,
you, man.
It's cost me a lot of money this year.
It has. I mean, I've been fortunate that we're honestly, man, like I'd probably say I think I've only lost a handful, but most of them I've been able to reschedule. So it's been okay, but it has been bad, man. It's hard to predict. Coming into summer, we always know that, or at least you know that there's a chance of that afternoon thunderstorm. It's going to happen, so you kind of plan for it. It is what it is, but
we got ran off the water yesterday.
Personally, man, like,
don't tell me you like lightning.
No, I don't like lightning, but I do like little storm cells.
Yeah,
they drop the pressure. Yep. Sometimes they shut them down, but sometimes they open them wide up, and so you kind of get a chance there. If especially if you're having like a tough morning or something, a little rain swell comes through, and it's something that look on your radar and you go, man, this isn't going to be that bad. Temperature drops, fresh water hits the top, get more oxygen, and if you can bear it and get through it, especially if you're on a good tide or something, a lot of times, man, it'll trigger a bite.
Well,
it's crazy. People get ran off the water, not that many boats out, so it can really be a what happened cool time to fish, man.
Before this system we had last week, I fished Sunday and Monday. I had some hardcore guys, really good clients, and we had 2 tarpon trips, 2 days tarpon booked, and the first day we hooked the fish, went 0 for 1. It was Sunday. There was 20 boats out there. Second day it was raining at 6 in the morning. And we sat there for 30 minutes, and I'm looking at the radar, and I'm like, I don't know. The wind's kind of high. These guys are like, we're already wet. I said, let's roll. Let's do it. If it's bad, I'll just lose fuel money and won't charge you, And we ended up going 1 for 4 on tarpon. So we had a good day.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't that many boats out. Just like you said, the bite was pretty good. There was a lot of fish. Then the storm hit. And then it went to crap till today's the first day we got fish. Yeah. So it's been now the inshore fishing, as mentioned earlier, has been great. I mean, heck, we had a 39-inch snook yesterday. We got overslot reds last week before the storm. We got a bunch of snook yesterday. I mean, today we got grouper in the bay, big grouper, snapper. We got huge snapper Sunday. No, not Sunday. What day? I don't even know what day that was. It was Sunday. I had an inshore trip. We got huge mangrove snapper in the bay. So everything else is doing good, really good. The key has been I've been using a lot of dead bait.
Yeah.
I've went out and caught live bait,
man. I mean, like it's funny because I went and fished a pot of snook that I knew were sitting there, and same thing, man. Like we rolled up, I threw a little bit of chum out. We were sitting on the fish. They didn't really react. Threw some cut bait out, caught some fish. Tide started moving. We kind of waited on them. Tide started moving, and I hadn't chummed in like probably a half hour. I got like a handful of baits out. And not even like a bat full, just a handful of baits. And I kind of pitched out there, 1 bust, 2 busts. I'm like, all right, they're ready to go. So we went back to live and we started catching them on live. But that whole time that tide was slack, and I'm not even talking about it was moving a little bit, but in that portion of downtime, we got them on cut bait. Tide started moving. We started getting them on live bait. So
yeah,
it's
well, it's just one of
something you got to try.
Yeah,
a lot of guys don't. They roll up, they throw some chum, throw a live bait, it don't happen, they leave. They keep bouncing around, and it's one of those things where, and I think for you for a long time, you'll agree with me, is that it takes a while to get confidence in cut bait.
Oh yeah.
Because especially when your clients, if you've got somebody that maybe has fished before or got some experience fishing live bait, and you open up the live well and you grab a bait out there, you open a cooler up.
I'm a live bait junkie.
And you cut, a head and a tail off or something, you cut a head off and you sling it out there, and they're going, well, ain't that just a catfish bait?
And it is.
For the most part.
But it's also a big snook bait.
Well, and I mean, I think and I could be wrong, but it just seems like over the years as we go, it seems like the fish tend to really, this time of year, as soon as that water gets hot, they really kind of lay off that.
Well, you'll
bait,
catch plenty of fish on live bait, but I think have your chances increase of catching a trophy fish. And what in the last, I'd say couple years, I've really swapped the cut bait. Dude, I don't know.
There's 4.
I don't know what's going on with this. Sorry, boys.
Open it up.
Dude, I already did that. I'm telling you, the thing's. Oh God, almost went down.
Jay Prieto's got one job on the show is to hang the camera out the suction cup.
Game over. See, that was funny right there, boys. If that just happened 4 times.
That's 4, dude.
I'm afraid. Why don't you do it? You keep calling me out.
I got look at all this I got going here, bro.
I know, but
suction cup.
Just one little suction cup deal shouldn't be a big deal, right?
You should be able to lick that thing.
But using the cut bait, it's kind of one of them deals. In my opinion, everybody's gonna have their own way of doing it. What works for me is you have to know where the fish are, and you have to aim. Like you can't throw
in the right spot.
30. You can't throw 20 feet over here and expect to catch the fish if they're sitting in a pothole to the right.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to aim your cast and just let it sit there. And people that are jittery and want to reel it in all the time, it's not gonna work.
No.
You got to let that bait sit there, let the pinfish start pecking at it, and then the big one comes over and whacks it. And that's what I tell people. And every time I look over, they want to start reeling
it in, man.
I said, just leave it. I said, better yet, if you can't leave it, just stick it in the rod holder.
Or another good one is with cut bait. And it doesn't happen as much, I'd say, with threadies, but like if you're going to use some cut mullet or some cut ladyfish, the pinfish will just eat you alive.
Yeah.
And you get the tendency to have clients that are wanting to jerk and snatch the bait up and reel and do all this stuff. And really, 9 times out of 10, man, if you just let that bait sit there and just let them peck, it's like a chum block, man, for a bigger fish. And a lot of times you go peck, and then kaboom,
yeah.
Big boy will come in and say, I'll take that,
Do you realize that 31 people just seen that fall?
31 people saw you fail, dude. Fail.
We got to fix that.
Hashtag game over.
I mean,
but
that is as live as it comes. Like, there's no editing here.
It is. We got no editing. We actually got a cool little product we're going to showcase real quick, and then we're going to go to break, guys. It's called Duck Gear. They sent us a couple samples here. They're a waterproof phone case, and they're really cool.
Can you use the phone when it's in there?
You can use the phone while it's in there. You can actually do video, record. You can hear. It's a really cool little deal. It keeps like a pad for your phone. I've got a active S7 active from Samsung, and they don't make a waterproof case for it because it's a waterproof phone. But I've been using this on the boat just to keep it out of the weather conditions and moisture and stuff. And I think it does a little bit for the phone. My plug got corroded on my last one, so I figured I'd try it out. But
you did stick it in a live well.
Yeah, easy killer.
It doesn't say it's waterproof, and it's not salt waterproof.
Hey, I still got the video from that too. It actually worked. But Duck Gear, guys, if you're in the market for a good waterproof case, you can throw anything in here. You can throw some tackle in here. It's got a lanyard that goes around your neck, and you can check that out. It's a really cool little deal. Duck Gear, I think their website is duckgear.com. That's DUK gear.com. But we appreciate that. Guys, we're going to take a little break, and when we get back, we're going to have the Captain's Tip of the Week, and coming up on the last segment of the show. Hang tight, and we will be right back talking some more fishing on Tampa Fishing Outfitters Radio Show, Sports Talk, 1040 The Team.
Stop Tampa Fishing Outfitters today and check out our Ohiro product line. Rods, reels, fluorocarbon lines, braided lines, hooks, and much more. Packed with an incredible inventory of over 10,000 items in stock. Tampa Fishing Outfitters is the perfect destination for any of your fishing needs. We also carry a great selection of sunglasses and fishing apparel. Our knowledgeable guides are here to answer all of your questions and to repair your rods and reels. Visit any of our 3 convenient locations for all of your fishing needs. Tampa Fishing Outfitters. If we don't have it, you don't need it.
And welcome back to another great episode of Tampa Fishing Outfitters Radio Sports Talk 1040 The Team. Myself, Captain Jason Prieto, is in the studios. Captain Travis Yaeckel at the helm, running the computer, doing his deal. One day he's going to show me how to do it. I think he's just scared if I get on that thing. I'll be like a DJ.
Scared you're going to. Yeah, I am. I'm scared. I'm scared it's going to take. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been watching the show this far,
me out of there.
We've had the camera drop 4 times. And,
sorry. We really did not mean for that to happen.
Our camera guy over here.
Sorry, I'm fired.
You got to lick it before you stick it.
Yeah. What I don't even know what to say to that.
Well, Jason, let's give some tips
Talk about
out
the
for the
camera.
week, man. So we know we
Oh.
got some gnarly weather. We've been fishing around these weird weather patterns. What are some of the things that you look for? What are some of the things that you'll do to catch fish when it's tough?
Well, if I can't catch them with a rod, I typically get my cast net. No, I'm just joking.
And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, that's even bad.
You just gotta you could it happens to me. You can't be one dimensional. And honestly, during tarpon season, we've had a struggle. I've gotten a little one dimensional, and today I got out of that, and I did okay. So and I'm looking back to that, so I've been hard headed on trying to stay on the beaches, and it hasn't been good. You go out there and you go, it's gonna get good today. It's gonna go. Then it don't go. And then you go back the next day and the next day. And finally today I was like, you know what? This ain't working. I finally just said it to myself, like, this ain't working. Like,
Gotta try
I've been doing this
different,
for
man.
a while and it ain't really been good. So it worked today. So I think tip of the week, always try something different. If what you're doing isn't working, fish change their moods, they change their habits, they change their patterns. You have to change with them. You have to be, to catch fish consistently, you've got to be one step ahead of the fish. And that sounds easy. Even for us, it's hard. Tarpon, especially for me, to be one step ahead of what they're doing. There's very few guys that can do that consistently, and I think the ones that are pretty good fishermen. It's a constant battle. Yes, it does come easier to us as charter captains as a whole, but it's still work to us. I commend the full-time guys that go out there and grind it, and I hope that people think I'm one of them. I really do put effort into every trip. I know I'm not the worst. I won't claim to be the best, but I think I'm up there in the upper tier for sure.
Oh, definitely.
But,
work ethic is a big part of it, man. It's just
I won't
not
say that
giving
I'm
up,
very
but-
talented in anything in life, but I will say that I've outworked a lot of people in my lifetime. I've never been like, there's some people that are just naturally talented and they get through life, whatever it is they're doing, by just being that good. But I've never been that guy, but I've always worked real hard. So change it up a lot. That's the key thing, and pick up on stuff. I've really leaned towards cut bait the last, I'd say 3 years.
Yeah.
I was a live bait fanatic. Like,
Oh, I know.
I just keep chumming and you'll catch them eventually. But in the summertime, what happens is you end up, there's a ton of bait and you still catch a lot of fish on live bait. Don't get me wrong. But the cut bait is one of the things where it's boring and you don't see stuff happening because you're not chumming really. Or if you do, you're chumming cut bait, so not blowing up on the surface. And now your small snooker's still going to eat that fried bait. It's still going to be good, but you've got to change it up and do different stuff. You try to use dead bait. I'm still open about this. I hate pinfish. I don't catch hardly anything on pinfish. I don't catch jack on pinfish, but I keep trying it because this short guy right here keeps telling me that it works. I say, you know what? I'm gonna try. I look at my live well, Travis, and if I don't have no thread fins, I go, you know what? I think of you. I go, I'm going to try pinfish. And I try it, and I don't catch a damn thing. I catch fish on them, but not – I just hate them things. They poke me so much in my cast net. I had one the other day. I grabbed the net, and he was just hiding in the mesh, dude. And he just stuck me right in the arm.
You're not one with the pinfish, man.
Oh,
you're not one with the pinners.
Dude. They kind of bow up on me with their fins and get me every time. But, tip of the week, just try different stuff. Like I said, biggest key I always say with fish, you want to be where they're going, not where they've been.
Looks like we got a question here. We got a few more minutes. Matt Gato says, we're thinking about putting in at Gandy this weekend. Is there bait by Hula Bay lately? We haven't fished over there in a while. And I'll be honest with you, Matt, I haven't fished over there in probably about a month, I would say, is the last time we fished over there. We fished a group deal over there. And there was quite a bit of bait down by Bayside, which is across from Hula Bay there on that flat. Another good place to look is if you can't get it there, you can go across to Weeden Island on the outside of the bar, just on the inside of the bar there on those grass flats. I got word that there was still, quite a bit of bait over that way. The towers on the way over from, say, Hula Bay over have got some thread fins on it if you're looking for threadies too. But
Threadies are then, I'll give you a little tip too. Threadfin are a lot easier to get at when the sun pops up after a while.
Yeah.
Right at sun up, they are around, but I have a hard time getting them. Like a lot of times for tarpon, I almost like to get my thread fins on the way in.
Yeah.
Because I'll smoke them on
Late
the way
afternoon,
in. But, man,
yeah.
first thing in the morning, especially with tarpon, you're in a rush to get out there. You're like, man, I want to hit that sun-up bite.
Yeah.
And here you are screwing, trying to get thread fins, and you can't get them.
Well, I can tell you this. There's been several markers inside the bay that, I've seen guys come up to. They do the loop. They look down. They see thread fins, and they leave. And I will say that probably in the last 4 or 5 trips for me, the markers that I've been going to get greenbacks or whitebait on have had threadies surrounding it. They've been big pods. There's tons of pods of thread fins out in the bay right now, on the inside and on the outside of the bridge. And a good bottom machine, if you're going to get bait deep, if you're going to get bait on the markers, is key. It's essential, because what's happening is you're going to see all the thread fins on the surface, but down underneath that is where all the whitebait is. And
I would like to.
It's packed tight. Like you can tell from on the machine, you'll see little bitty tight packed little dots, as opposed to little swash marks and spread out. Those are going to be your thread fins.
What if we, Travis? Can we like say we get a picture of a good mark on the machine?
Yeah, we can do some screenshots, man.
How cool would that be? We show people.
We can
turn us into like a little freaking school, man.
Well, there's a lot of cool stuff we can do on here, Jason. Like as far as even doing some Google Earth images and kind of walking through areas and doing
what about
all kinds of cool stuff.
Can we pull that one where you like smoke the sardines?
Yeah, well, we can find that picture.
And I want to see your face right after you did it.
There's no pictures of my face, but there's visual reference from Jason Thompson and Captain Rick Liles, because
I heard it.
They both witnessed.
I heard it. I heard the cuss words.
The guys down at Cockroach Bait heard me out there. But anyway, that would be a tip. As far as bait up that way, I don't know that I would mess with the markers personally up there. To me, I think most of the baits up in the upper part of the bay, say Gandy, I would bet that most guys are still getting on the flats.
Yeah, well, this time of year, bring your quarter. I will tell you this too, guys. You heard it here. I think we said it last week. The spawn, we've had our first spawn,
and
it was early. It happened like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we got a lot of fry bait. Like if anybody's fished the area around Bishop's Harbor, piles of fry bait.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a point where we were snook fishing. No lie, this was about a week and a half ago. We were on a little pot of snook and we were fishing them, and all of a sudden, man, these juvenile snook just went nuts on this pile of fry bait, doing backflips.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's always cool.
All by themselves. We weren't even chumming, man. These things went nuts. I was like, "God, get a bait." And what was cool was we were fishing in these big balls of fry bait, and the little bit of chum that I did throw out, it would fall into the fry bait, and you'd see it swimming in the middle of all the fry baits, And what ended up happening was the snook started feeding on the greenbacks we were throwing out, because they were getting in those fry bait pods. Yeah. And so I kept telling the guys, I said, throw your bait in the middle of the fry bait pod. And we were getting 8. But if you threw it, on the outside of it, or like we're fishing the edge of a bar, and the snook were actually, if you've ever been in a tower and seen it in clear water, you can actually see the snook will lay up underneath these fry bait pods, and they'll just kind of swim around. And then I don't know what triggers them, but all of a sudden one will just reach up and just take him a bite, or a mouthful of them. And that's kind of what was happening in this one spot. But it was really cool to see them kind of do their deal like naturally, where they were just going bonkers on this school of fry bait. Man, it was pretty cool. But it was good stuff. So what do we got? About 2 more minutes, guys. If we got any other questions on Facebook, we love to answer them. Try to get them in real quick.
Guys, I want to give you let's do a forecast for next week. Next week, I think we're finally getting into our normal summer patterns. If you're not tarpon fishing, man, it's that time of year. You want to get an early start, get done early. We're going to start seeing our snapper bites already starting to go off pretty good. So start hitting your snapper spots. That small fry bait's great for snapper fishing.
Awesome.
It's kind of small, but it's going to grow fast. We're going to have a lot of bait around. Take advantage of our great Tampa Bay's great mango snapper fishing. And also, snook fishing is going to be good through the summer. I'm hoping we get a late run of school of reds like we had the last couple of years. July's been a pretty good month for redfish, which is not typical. But we've had some small schools of reds show up, so I want to start looking for them. Our tarpon season for me is winding down a little bit. I'm still doing tarpon trips, but the big push for me, I'm almost excited because it's been so bad this year.
I'm just getting ready to fire mine up.
Yeah, and I got the bay tarpon thing. I want to do it this year. I mean, I'm just that month that I do it, it's just not been good this year. But So get out there, start taking advantage of the snapper, get an early start, get done early, be done by 12, 1 o'clock. Bring your 1/4-inch nets, bring you some chum. If you want some thread fins, good thing with the thread fin too, use the big mesh net. I think it's 1.25-inch stretch.
Yeah, if you're gonna, especially if I see a lot of guys, and we'll cover this real quick before we get done, but I see a lot of guys throwing like 6, 8 foot, even 10-foot nets out in the middle, like they'll see a pot of thread fin out there and they'll go try to catch them, and it's like nearly impossible, man. When even the bigger balls of threadies, they're a lot faster than what you think. And when you're throwing a net in say 15, 20, 25 foot of water, those thread fins, even if you circle them up and you throw right over the entire pod, they're going to go straight down, swim out from underneath your net, and you may get a handful. But just like Jason's saying, one of the tricks that we use to go out there and really get them is we use a larger mesh net, almost a mullet net basically.
Yeah.
And sometimes
really
you'll even gill some of those bigger baits, but
the gill ones shake out pretty easy on that mullet net.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like bait.
It's not like scaled sardines.
Yeah. No.
But that's gonna help you, get those thread fins if you do get you a bigger mesh net. It says, what's a good way to cut a ton of thread fins for chum faster than a knife? Well, we use a cut box. We've got little boxes that are made up that you put a bunch of bait in there. They're set with 1-inch increments in the slots. We'll bring one in next week, Jay, and kind of show everybody
bring mine in?
What the cut box looks like.
Oh, wait, is that yours?
You got a couple of them.
Yeah.
We put you on pro staff.
Oh, did we? No,
Yeah.
I still owe you for that. You just don't know it.
But we've got a little tool that we use. It's a cut box. Matter of fact, I think if you go to chumcutter.com, there's a good example of one.
Or TravisCutter.com.
I actually last year made up a bunch of them. I got a connection with a CNC guy and some plastic.
TravisCutter.com.
It's a quick. I think Jason will agree. It's probably by far one of the best ways to cut a bucket of chum.
It's about equal to a chum bat.
Yeah, it's kind of like once you use one, it's hard to really go back and cut them singles. Because what we'll do a lot of times is cut a bucket or two of bait and be ready for that bite, or like if we're gonna go snapper fishing, or if I'm gonna go tarpon fishing or shark fishing, any kind of bay fishing really. Last year or like early this year in spring, I took it out and we were mackerel fishing, and we wore them out because I was ready with the chum. And if any kind of bay fishing, a lot of times it depends on how fast you can keep your chum slick going to keep the fish around, because they'll dart around. It's not like fishing inshore where there's a certain point or there's a certain mangrove or a certain pothole that the fish are sitting in. A lot of times when you're fishing out in the middle of the bay, sometimes you'll pull up, and like even snapper fishing, you'll pull up and you'll look down, there's nothing on the machine. And I've done it. I've been like, look, guys, watch this.
They'll come up.
I'll start chumming for like 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden the fish will come to you.
They'll ball up.
They'll ball right up underneath your boat. And a big key to catching a lot of those fish, or even catching a few of them, is to keep that chum slick going. So having a quick way to have a lot of chum readily available can sometimes be the ticket to really having a good day out there.
Travis, let's give our numbers. Everybody's heard us talk about fishing, but they don't know how to do a charter with us. That makes a whole lot of sense, don't it?
Pick up the phone. You can get a hold of me at 813-830-3474. Again, that's 813-830-3474.
And that's Fish by Instinct.
Fishbyinstinct.com.
That's Captain Travis. SteadyActionFishingCharters.com. Myself, Captain Jason Prieto. And you can get me on my cell phone, 813-727-9890. We pretty much do anything in the bay, from cobia to snook to redfish to tarpon. We were out getting thread fins the other day. I didn't mean to cut you off, but we were out getting thread fins the other day, getting ready for a tarpon trip, and I had a cobia come up twice and sting my net, man. I mean, like right at the boat. Yeah.
And of course we had no rod, nothing on it, but we just ran out to get bait, me and Jason Thompson.
Well, you could do like most and just.
Oh, we tried. We rigged up. I got a 60-pound leader, tied it to a dock line. We had a hook.
Hey,
I said, let's drift back around, man. I'm gonna throw the net again. And dude, I'm cranking the net up, and he stings it again. And we're like two monkeys out there trying to catch this cobia.
Why didn't you just do like some people do? Get your bow and arrow. You're not good enough to catch them. You just shoot them.
Yeah, well, I got a little more sport in me than that. But,
yeah, exactly.
But there are some cobia around now that you talked about it, and I've been seeing quite a few of them on the markers when we're getting bait.
Yeah.
I think the amount of thread fins and bait in the bay really draws those guys in to to feed. So keep your eyes out for those guys. And like we say, always have a rod and reel rigged up for those just to pitch out, because sometimes they only give you, 5-10 seconds to get a bait.
How much time we got?
How much time we got? What's that? We're done. We're done. Guys,
boys.
We ran over.
Guys, until next week, tight lines, go catch them up. We'll
Thanks
see
for
y'all
watching.
next week.